While you're doing that, pull up my presentation.
So we're good to go. Are you able to share screen?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I was just, when you go PowerPoint full screen, it doesn't leave. So here we go. Everybody can see this. Brian can laugh at it for just a second. So it's going to be hard for me to see the whole screen and see all of you, unfortunately. But I will try to pause, or if you can write down your questions as they come up, then we'll try to pause now and then. So we're going to talk about building what I like to call a diamond strong team. And I know you probably saw in the notes about this, that it's about, you see the number 500, and it's going to make sense as we kind of go through this. But that's the goal in this time that we have together. And back, by the way, I love that picture of Jen. I don't know where you guys were when you were doing this, probably a workout at Summit maybe. But in this picture is Jen and Brian. And I think I love it because I'm not quite sure, not that we're comparing or competing, but I think Jen's got a few inches higher than Brian in this picture.
I think she does too. It's
she's got some springs, that girl.
It's Gillette Stadium where the Patriots play.
Oh, gotcha.
So
okay.
That's an American football team. They're like in the Super Bowl every other year and winning every few years too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is one of many pictures. Oh my gosh, I have so many, but this is when Chris and I and Brian and Jen met for the very first time, physically, that I know of, right? Because I don't think you guys had met before. So I need to move you guys over in my screen so that I can, let's see if I just click, will it let me go? All right, so a little bit about the Beachbody journey for those of you that are fairly new. In the very beginning, you're gonna see a picture. That is Carl Deichler, by the way. I know that's kind of hilarious to see him to the far, I think it'd be your far left. But Carl and John, when they first started Beachbody, started as an infomercial company. And then they really wanted to be more than just a company that sold DVDs in a box, or DVDs or CDs in a box now, live streaming all over the world. They really wanted to make a connection to their customers, but they didn't have the bandwidth to do it. And so in 2006, Kevin and I got a phone call from Carl's team to say, come help us launch this idea of a coach network. Now, John thought it was a crazy idea. He wasn't on board with it at all, but as partners, Carl was the persistent one. He said, I'm going to do this because I think it's right. And we are so glad that he did. And that little picture above, you can kind of see Kevin somewhere in the back, but this is the original founding group of Team Genesis, which is the kind of the sisterhood, or, the mothership, so to speak, of our entire team. So this is the very first Summit event. We like to do a lot of fun things together. We were playing a game called ice hockey on the ice with brooms. But a lot of these coaches, in fact, all of them, I think, are still extremely active and a part of our team. And then we're kind of moving forward. So that's when we started in 2007. Officially, I think it was around April 1st. And so much has happened. So much has happened. Not only have we grown internationally, as you guys know, in the UK and soon France, the US and Canada, but we have completely changed how we deliver our support to people who want to live a healthier lifestyle. So I want to talk to you about four ideas. So like I said, there's going to be a lot. You're going to see some numbers because I just want to really prove a point with those numbers. If you're a numbers person and you want like the background, I'm certainly able to provide, but I just wanted you to kind of look at what happens when you shift your, maybe your mindset and your purpose towards something maybe different than you have in the past. And so these four things we're going to talk about is the healthy formula, the idea of a 500 plus coach, what it means to be an Emerald Tribe, and how that turns into something that we call Diamond Strong. And the healthy, excuse me? Yes, Kevin's yelling at me from the other room. So the concept of the healthy formula is three things. And I think I just want to bring it up because in the Beachbody space, what really sets us apart from a lot of other options, which are, maybe you could go to a nutrition program like Slimming World or Weight Watchers or some of those, and they focus mostly on the food side of it. Or you could go to a gym or hire a trainer and mostly focusing on the fitness side of it. And there's a lot of people that choose to create a path for their own healthy formula in a lot of different ways. What's unique about us is we believe in helping people kind of put three things together: nutrition that's simple, fitness that's fun, and the support of a community to help you integrate it into your everyday life so that it actually becomes how you live. So that's our healthy formula and what's unique about us. And a lot of times when people ask me like, so what's different about Beachbody than anybody else? This is what I'm talking about, is we've created a way to bring the three together to serve people better in the long run. The other thing I like to talk about when I talk about Beachbody is I like telling people we tell the truth about weight loss and nutrition. We know it's hard and there's no magic pill. And so we create a path for people to figure it out in a way that serves them best. All right. So the healthy formula, our solution. The typical thing a coach does is they ask one simple question, and that is, how's it going and how can I help you? You know, how have you been in life and how can I help you? So whether you see yourself as exclusively focused on health and wellness and fitness, or in kind of the total solution for health and happiness, I think this is the most common question. And when we're dealing with people, talking to people, sometimes you might throw out a questionnaire, sometimes you might have a physical conversation. What I like is we're really listening for them to tell us what their healthy formula is or isn't, like what's missing, what gaps can we fill for them. So I like this idea because when you start to see your work as a coach as not trying to grind out challenge packs and success club points necessarily, but really trying to serve a customer where they are or to serve a friend where they are, by helping them figure out what their healthy formula is. And so when it comes to fitness support, you know, I'm always listening for what do they think they need. Sometimes they're saying, I have the support I need. I'm doing CrossFit, or I'm running a marathon, or I'm, you know, and if that's the case, my conversation with them doesn't end there. My conversation is, great, how's that working? How are you feeding yourself for that? What kind of support do you have around that? So if you start to see yourself as helping people kind of put the puzzles of their formula together, it doesn't matter if they're already doing something else in one of these areas. It allows you to say, let's talk about the total solution. So, you know, other typical things we hear is I can't afford a trainer, or well, right now we're hearing, I used to go to a gym. They aren't anymore right now. Or I'm way too busy to even get to the gym. And so some of the solutions that we have to offer, when we're hearing that as being kind of a trusted advisor, not somebody selling them something, but really a true friend and trusted advisor, is, you know, hey, we've got a free group. No credit cards required. You can try a few of our workouts, or you could come do Clean Week. Or you can, you know, join, if you want to look at our whole bod library, we've got a free trial, right? Or, you know, if somebody's like, I'm not sure if this will work for me. I'm like, will you give it 6 months? Like, could we just do 6 months together and see what happens? And then of course there's that, oh my gosh, I saw that 10 rounds, I want to do it. Or I'm a fan of Shaun T, what's he coming up with? Those kinds of things. So we've got a way to have a conversation that allows us to stay in that trusted advisor role. And then in addition to that, or along the lines of that, we're like, so how's it going with you and your nutrition or your food or your overall eating plan? And you're going to hear people say, I'm on track. I'm doing Slimming World or Weight Watchers or whatever. Some will say, I need a kickstart for fast results. Like if I don't get results pretty quick, I'm not going to stick. Or I need to get totally back on track. I was on track and I gained it all back. You know, these are things we hear all the time. And so again, so when I'm hearing diets never work for me, I'm focusing on things like mindset, portion fix, or when they're saying I'm always hungry, I'm looking at Beach Bar, Shakeology. Or if they're saying, I'll try something for 7 days, because quite honestly, nothing I've ever done, I've ever stuck with. I might try Clean Week. And then if they're saying my energy is not so great, I'm like, or they're seeing them, you know, slam down Monster drinks, whatever those energy drinks are. I'm like, are you open to a healthy alternative? I'm just showing you this because the main focus of this is, yes, the challenge packs are our most, what do you want to call it? Like the best deal. Sometimes we can kind of get trapped in thinking that that's where we need to lead. And what you're going to see, as Brian has asked me to really show you how you can actually solely focus on bringing people into Beachbody On Demand as your main business, your main solution for people. And you get really good at that. And then you let the rest unfold based on what their need is. So if you shift your mind from thinking, I've got to do this, to all I need to do is really become the trusted advisor and help people figure out what their healthy is. And we've got some really great ways as coaches to do that. So on the same line, so that's what the healthy formula is. The healthy formula is really just a switch in your thinking about what you do or how you define what you do as a coach, to meeting people where they are. So now I like to look at this idea. So I created this idea of a menu of things that every coach can focus on. Like when I'm starting May out, like last week, I looked at May and I looked at all the different things that were happening in May that Beachbody was doing, or maybe things that were happening in my community, or Kevin and I started To Be Mindset, we upped it together as a couple yesterday, which is kind of fun. So I look at my month and then I look at things that I can do. And I know for a lot of you as coaches, you might just be thinking, okay, what do I do now? Like, what's next? And so I like the menu idea, because the first thing we talk about is some groups you can lead. My whole goal is to show you an easy path to achieving 500 PV in sales a month consistently every month. And so there's groups you can lead, like free groups or a Clean Week group, which is free. They don't have to enter a credit card to try Clean Week. And I know the UK team has actually done this. There's program specific or common interest groups. So program specific is they want to do Insanity or Max 30 together. Common interest is I've got a running club. That's a common interest group. But in that case, you can actually start a group starting on this day, ending on this day. We're going to have a really focused time. Then there's early access groups. Hey, you can get in and try 10 rounds before it's available to everybody else. Or there's VIP customer groups where, it's just a multi-user group of all your customers over time. And then I always put in the B2B challenge, which right now might be a little bit of a challenge, but I think coming in the future, what we've done for a lot of times is maybe have the one firefighting department in an area challenge another firefighting department to get healthy again. And so they're doing, they're picking their program and challenging each other. There's definitely a way, I think, to serve small businesses and small organizations in kind of a business to business challenge as an idea for a group. And there are so many more than this. This is just a few for you to start thinking about what kind of groups or what kind of ways do I as a coach want to bring people together to support them. There's also events you can do, like your launch event. Hopefully, if you're a new coach, you've either done one or you're thinking about doing one. There's an event around friends and family. There's kind of having a hostess. So you've got somebody else who's lost weight, who invites people together, especially now you can do this online for a couple days to learn about what we're doing with Beachbody On Demand. And that's kind of the old school party plan. And a lot of people think, well, that doesn't apply to us. We're more of a network marketing community. But the truth is, I think once we have somebody that in their first 2 or 3 weeks that has results, of course we would want to encourage them to pay it forward to the people they know. And then fundraisers, we haven't done those in a while, but that's another fun way, especially with schools trying to figure out what their budgets even are. And with our kids programs free, I think we could do some programs like that. And then I've started to see Zoom live workouts. So you're bringing people into a Zoom live, and live social workouts, whether that's on Facebook or kind of getting people into Instagram as a short thing and then putting into a Facebook group. So there's a lot of fun ways or events that you can hold and put on your calendar. And then lastly, there's other healthy solutions. So Clean Week, To Be Mindset, Portion Fix, Beach Bars. There's other things that we have kind of tucked away to help people once they start making a decision and a commitment to their wellness. This is just a menu of ideas. So what is a 500 PV coach? I say that they're the heart and the life of your entire team. Somebody who lives the 4 vital behaviors, somebody who knows a simple invitation like, hey, I'm doing this, come do it with me. Somebody that genuinely cares and is asking people, how have you been? How's your health? And listening for the clues that people are giving us. Somebody that knows the healthy formula that I just talked about and that really uses it to nurture their contacts and their customers, and is a product, and they're product confident. And even if you're beginning, it might just be like, my strongest product confidence, even after all these years, is To Be Mindset, because it's the program I've done for the longest. But that they're also company confident, so that you have a strong sense of connection and belief and what we're trying to do as a collective community, as a company as a whole. So, oops, that kind of got funky on me. But the 500 PD coach mindset is, I like to say, let generosity be kind of the heart of your strategy. And because really generosity is from where I think people really have a sense of who you are and what you're about, and things grow. So what a 500 PD coach does is they meet customers where they are, and they help them figure out what their healthy formula is. And so I see less of people trying to do click-through advertising to a landing page, to a questionnaire, to a share a cart that they've not hardly even talked to the person before. And you're going to hear a lot of methods for growing. But honestly, in Team Genesis and as a whole, we believe that it's still the human contact. Even if it slows our growth down a little bit, what happens is our relationships become so much more strong. And the longevity of those relationships and the vibe that the customer gets from us keeps them with us. So we invest in creating what I like to call raving fan customers. I would rather you have 20 of those than 200 people that have get clicked through some ad and don't really know who you are. But we also inspire our customers to become influencers. By that, I mean, we don't just stop with that person. We're like, who in your life could you become an example for? Or who in your life support would mean a lot to you? Let's not just stop with you. Let's let you become the influencers of others. The other thing is we're always looking, when I say boost revenue per customer, that's the business side of us. So we're looking at, have we served a customer completely? Or did we just kind of let them choose something and leave them alone? And then we're constantly building a customer following. And that's kind of the mindset of a 500 PD coach, is that they're always thinking of, how do I expand? All right, so let's go to this next one. So this is kind of interesting, and this is what Brian kind of asked me to do, was what if we just built with BOD? What would that look like? And is that something that can be done? And so I looked at that for the last week and started asking that question myself, because I'd never really considered it. Because the truth by that, I mean, is that we have an opportunity with Beachbody On Demand to provide a completely free service up front to build trust and gain experience with them. We also have this 14-day trial, free trial, that converts into a membership, which we would let them know in advance, but it allows them to see the entire library for 14 days. And then we've got memberships, whether it's the 6-month or the year membership for somebody that's like, I'm ready to do this. And then we've got these idea of bundles, challenge packs and bundles and things like that, especially when we're launching a new program. So there's a lot of ways that we can build with BOD. But what you're going to see in this little diagram I'm showing you, and here's where you start to see a lot of numbers. So quarterly members pay £39 and they get, which costs them about $13 a month. So in order to do 500 points every month, you would need 34 members per month who are in renewal. Now you're going to go, well, wow, Milan, that's hard. That's going to take some time. And the answer is yes, it will. But even if you built by 10 new members who started on a 14-day free trial and then converted into their quarterly, even if by 10 and you just kept building that, it would compound to where you would start to have more and more members renewing. And the truth is, you're probably going to have some quarterlies and some annuals. There's a few people that do 6 months. I see it less and less, but the quarterlies and the annuals are quite common. So, but for the sake of it being available, I included 6 months where they pay, $59. That's $984. So they're saving £316 a month. And then the annual membership, which is the best deal. So that's $99. It's costing them $825, which when I thought about it and I typed this, I'm like, that is such a deal. And they're saving $475 over doing it quarterly. So if you were to do annual members and you're like, I am just going to go build my BOD membership, to get to a steady 500, you would need 14 members per month. That sounds a little bit more doable. But what's cool about that is, as you build this and you've got 14 members renewing every month, that equates to $554, pounds and 40 cents. What do you call it? A quid? I'm not sure. What's the sense? But yeah. Okay. So what I want you to see is, this is how many members you'd want to have renewing and what that would translate to into income to your business. if you were only to do or start with Beachbody On Demand memberships. And you could even start with the idea of free groups or trial groups that move on to them falling in love with it because they see the big picture now. All right, so I'm going to stop there for a second. Any questions so far about this? The whole idea of healthy formula, and now taking a look at what if I built my my customer base and my following on the idea of inviting them into Beachbody On Demand. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
I feel I with the 500 PV, I always feel like if I don't hit Success Club, then I don't really feel like I'm doing a great deal. So I suppose for me to kind of understand it would be kind of what's the difference? Like what do you know what I mean? Like
yeah. And I'm so glad you asked that, Lauren, because Beachbody has created all of its attention, recognition, sometimes it's leads, you know, all of this other programs hinged on whether you do Success Club. And I think I understand the benefit of that because it's really causing us to acquire new business. The downside of it is I think we focus so much on trying to sell that and not really listening to what the customer needs that we get burnout and our customers get burnout.
Yeah.
And so what I know is true. So one of the things that this whole thing I'm teaching today is going to require of us is two things. One is letting go of what the company's recognizing, because what we really want to build is something strong. That's the first thing. And that's not easy. So we as a team have to recognize it. We as a team have to recognize volume and recognize, acquisition of, when you get a good group going and those kinds of things. But I would agree with you that it's hard to step away from all of the focus and attention and cheering that goes on around Success Club, because here's what you're going to see in a few minutes why I've seen that hurt people. Now, that's the first thing I'm going to tell you is letting go of it. The second thing I'm going to tell you is have faith, because what I've also seen is when you focus on this, and people build trust with you because they've had a small experience that's working, that your challenge pack sales and that kind of sales, your Shakeology home direct are actually going to happen.
Yeah. But
they're not happening because you feel like you have to push it. They're happening because people are like, is that the best? Be my advisor. Tell me what I need. I'm struggling with being hungry. And so those are the two things. One, let go of Success Club. And I feel like I'm just speaking like terrible language right now because everything's about Success Club. But the other is know that it will naturally also happen. Like I know Judy Finneran is an example. She's a vegan that's doing 2B Mindset. That's all she does. Has a growing group. She's been living the example. She doesn't focus on Success Club at all. 0. And she had 14 last month. And I'm calling her going, did you know you had? And she goes, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so it came naturally, not instantly, but over time it came naturally. But thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
Okay, so building with BOD. This is the other one to show you. So above the blue line are the idea that when we meet somebody, we can do, hey, there's limited free access. I'm doing a free group. There's no credit cards required. You can either do Clean Week, and you guys have done a great job of showing multiple different kinds of workouts. Or if you want to see the whole library, there's 14 days of a sample. And so in this case, we're just focusing on the top of the line, what's above the blue line. Below the blue line, though, I don't want you to forget that there's all kinds of things that we have available to us to serve the customer when it becomes clear that as we're helping them figure out what their healthy formula is, there's a solution for them. Whether that's a challenge pack or whether that's, a special offer because, hey, if you buy this, you get this, like they have now in our shopping cart, or whether there's a new release of a program. And I go back to my customer list. I'm like, this is not going to end up in BOD for 6 months, but I know you like boxing. So I want to make sure you know about this. So, and then of course there's, things like Shakeology. So what I'm saying is below the blue line are lots of opportunities for us to serve and to build those 500 points. But the truth is we can build it all above the line too. Okay. So let's click on this. So we talked a little bit about this idea of a 500 coach. I think I've got a couple more. I love this picture, you guys. You have so many cute pictures. I want to talk a little bit about an Emerald Tribe. And I think I've got some other things that are going to reinforce the 500 coach in the meantime. Let me look at this really quick because I'm missing. No, okay. All right. Yeah, I got everything done there. So what is an Emerald Tribe? So there's a good example of 3 right there now. They are so funny. So I think a lot of times we think diamond is the sweet spot, and diamond is a big job. There is no doubt. And I'm going to talk about what I call a casual diamond in a second. But I believe the real sweet spot is becoming an emerald. And so the Emerald Coach step is really the first milestone. And the game plan of every emerald is to get to emerald and build emeralds. Just get to emerald, U+2, and build emeralds. And when you're getting to emerald, you're building your 500 consistent volume every month by serving people and by running your BOD groups. And you're showing your team how to do that too. So the Emerald Tribe mindset is not, hey, what can I do individually? Can I be the best person at running Facebook ads? Or by the way, I've never run a Facebook ad in my life. Or can I be the best person to do a presentation? Or, I don't know. What I want to do is, what I want to say here is sometimes when we watch top coaches or best of top 10s or whatever, we're thinking, what are they doing that I need to do? And I think that question really is, what can I do that I can teach and that I can duplicate in my team? That's what matters. And so what I want to show you the power of is when you build your U+2 and you just take your very first personally sponsored people and you teach them how to do that. That's the whole game plan to building something very strong. And it's called generations. So I need to take this off, I'm getting more. You're a 500 PV coach with a nice customer base. And then you teach your personally sponsored coaches how to teach their personally sponsored to become emerald. And then you're going to end up with what I call a 4-level Emerald Tribe. And this is what it looks like. So when you teach your personally sponsored coach how to build a little Emerald Tribe, and everybody is focused on building a little customer base, and let's do it in their first month. Some might take 3 to 6 months to do it. But if we start really focusing on how do we empower a coach to do this consistently, this is what happens. So this is a classic Emerald Tribe. It's 15 coaches. And in this case, the first 2 of your people are going to say, show me how to do this. And you're going to say, okay, here's how you get to 500. And here's how you teach somebody you sponsor to build a little Emerald Tribe. In this case, this emerald is going to earn about 447 pounds. I got to kind of do the whole equation switch, but I took dollar signs off because it's very, very similar. And in this case, they're not just focused on Beachbody On Demand. They're solely focused on just, matching people to products. But Brian asked me to do something a little different, which I thought was interesting. And one more thing I want to say about this. So there's 500 PV first level. There's 3,500 on the left side and 3,500 on the right side. So that's how you earn this cycle bonus. And that's how you get to this amount. This is your little own personal commission for doing your own 500. This is what you're earning on your team. And this is what you earn total in that month. And that's not life-changing, although for this little tribe of 15 people, that can be pretty substantial income. That can do some cool things for a family. Here's what happens if you switch this to focusing on BOD, and it's rather interesting, I think, because so it takes a little while to build those memberships, but what happens is that when you sell a product, you're going to earn a 25% commission. When you sell BOD, it's actually higher than that, right? So I have to get the price list out in front of me, but so I think it's $15.55 if you have every time a quarterly member renews. Well, that's 39 points, right? So that's more than 25%. And so when I looked at this and I thought, okay, if I went back to the little slide that I showed you and I just focused on building quarterly memberships, that's what my quarterlies, and my quarterlies were renewing every month, right? So I've got a group that's renewing May and a group in June and a group in July. Then I'm going to actually be earning about 500, and that's how I'm doing my 500 points. I'm going to earn $528.70. I'm still going to get the same team volume, the same like cycle bonus on my downline. And so it just jumped to $850. And the reason it jumped again is because there's a little bit of a higher payout for our subscription renewals than just selling a product. Now, I found that interesting. And so I kind of just kept looking at what would happen if you continued to build that out. Because the truth is, even the personally sponsored coach you have that built this little tribe of 15 would earn that as well. Okay. Any questions before I move on to Diamond Strong? Because I know I'm getting a little bit fast. Okay. So let's go on to look at this idea. We talked about the healthy formula, like changing your mind over to saying, how do I become a trusted advisor? And simply my big job as a coach is to invite people into an experience that they can try and trust, and then continue to do that and find solutions for them. Help them figure out nutrition that's simple, fitness that's fun, and invite them into this community of support. Then we talked a little bit about how do coaches get to 500? You saw the little menu of ideas, and we looked at the different ways to do it with Beachbody On Demand itself, just focusing on that. And then you saw this little model of the Emerald Tribe. So let's look at Diamond Strong for a second. What happens when you start building Emerald Tribes? So this is what I like to call the classic diamond. So most coaches become a diamond when they have 4 people on the left and 4 people on the right, their 2 legs, probably started with a challenge pack and then kind of hung out with their Shakeology or their performance every month. And so they're at 90 points every month. But they haven't necessarily stepped up to Emerald. They haven't really gotten a vision for what's possible with the business. They're just kind of plugging away. And this is most diamonds. And what happens is a lot of people get to diamond and kind of stop there because they're like, whoo, I got here, yay. And then they're like, well, but my income didn't really change a whole lot. I got a promotion, but I didn't feel it. And that's because this is the diagram that they've created. People who are pretty much independently just on a home direct order. And the other challenge of this is just one of these people, oh, my little pointer's gone. So if this guy up here is like, yeah, no, I think I'll skip it, then you fall from diamond. And so what's the challenge with the classic diamond is it can be disheartening when you think you got there and there's really not strength there. So what I like to tell are, well, let's just look at the next slide. So this is very common. And if you're there, I don't want you to stress out about it. If you're even at the Emerald where you haven't gotten people consistent, don't stress out about it. As you shift in focus and we start teaching this, you're going to see strength occur. Okay. The next is, what if the only thing you did as a diamond is taught your whole team how to get to 500 consistently? If you just did that, then all of a sudden your income jumped from, what was it? Like $54 because you only cycled 3 times on this to $485 because now you're cycling on much more volume just by doing that one thing. What I like to tell coaches is that I think it's great to get to diamond however you can, but I really want you to focus on getting to Emerald and building Emeralds, because if you taught that, all 4 of these would be Emerald. Now, you definitely have a coach who would just be on their 90-point PB, and that's their regular order, and we love them because they're living it, and maybe they're a coach for a discount, and all of that's good and well. But when you're building to diamond, I want you to think about building Diamond Strong and allowing all of those kind of those coaches who are hanging out doing their own thing be a part of your team, but you're really focusing on the coaches who want to grow to Emerald so that they can duplicate that. Because here's what happens. When you have 4 Emeralds tribes on each side, remember the tribe I showed you of 15 people. These are emeralds who have 2 people that know how to teach becoming an emerald tribe. There's 15 in each group. They're all doing that little 7,500 in volume. This is what the income jumps to per month. And what we like to do is say, don't stop at 8. Don't stop at 4 on either side. I think it's good to try to go to about 12. So 4 more. And you can see how the income changes there just from this cycling. And all of this stems back to helping people experience and build trust with you in Beachbody On Demand as kind of a first experience into their healthy formula and figuring out what their healthy formula is. It all stems on you being a trusted advisor. And does it take patience and trust? Yes. Does it take time? It does. I am not a leader that's going to tell you that this is an overnight thing, nor am I going to tell you to try to crush it or burn through people. I would rather you slow and steady win this race and do it with a trail of people who are like, I had a great experience. Okay, so what's the next step? The game plan is to really ask yourself and to ask together as a team, how can we help a new coach and the coaches that we have right now reach 500 or more PV consistently? I'd say I like to add the 500 plus 1 because I think if my monthly goal, and I get out my little calendar, and this is how I do this, by the way. So I get Beachbody's little promo sheet, you know, all the things that are going on. Then I get out my calendar and I got my family stuff in there. And I start planning, and I know when the launches are happening, and I know when team groups are happening, and I literally just start planning out what I want to do, picking from that menu, you know, tapping into sales that are going on, those kinds of things. And I set a goal of 500 and sponsoring 1. I've always had sponsoring 3 as a goal, but 500 plus 1 is, I think, doable for everybody. So I would love for us to really look at how can we empower the 500 plus 1 success of every coach in a way that it means that their customers are having an amazing experience, building trust, and finding out what their healthy formula is. So I don't know if I've got, yeah. So that's the whole idea of building a diamond strong team. And it really just starts with you. And the best way I can say this is maybe the first step is for you to figure out, how do I get to 500 or 500 plus 1, my favorite, on a consistent basis. And I think, you know, there's a flow to doing this that has worked for me for years. And that has been, take the promotions, take my little activity sheet that looks at, okay, it's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day, it's the group is going to run a clean week, you know, all the different things that are happening that I can pick from. And you get to pick at what pace you do this. And then get your calendar out and plan together. And so that, you know, the only other thing I would say other than the calendar that supports your calendar is running some kind of a tracker. Beachbody is like a company full of trackers. There's trackers everywhere. So the tracker helps you maybe be consistent on social media if that's where you're going to go to market, or, you know, consistent at following up with private messages, however you want to do this. So the tracker then just kind of supports and gives you feedback, not measuring whether you're doing enough, because each one of us is doing this at a different pace. We've got lives to live, and this fits into our life. It doesn't become our life. And so I think that the tracker just allows you to have awareness, a lot like the 2B mindset tracker does for me. It allows me to have awareness, not judgment of myself, but awareness of where I'm spending my time, what I'm avoiding maybe that I need to do, and what's working. So I just want to turn it back over to Chris and Brian and any of you that have any questions about what we've talked about.
Great call, Milan. I just wanted to say that I love the BOD idea. I love the 500 PV idea. I think when you focus on BOD, or just something that's doable for you and duplicable for your team, I think then you'll see better results than just focusing on one thing, which is, you know, getting to Success Club. Corporate loves that. Corporate wants to create the next star. But what if you're not the next star, and what if there's not the next star on your team? Then what are you going to do? You know, you do what you can, and you teach your team to do what they can, and you run it in a way that you feel comfortable. And of course, during that process, you're growing and you're building confidence and you're building skills, and you'll get better, you know, so will your team. So I just wanted to create something that gives everyone, that empowers everyone to be in this business, to work it, and to teach it. So
Awesome.
good job, Milan.
I love that about you, Brian, is, you know, I think we've lived through all of the different incentives. And, you know, for some people, maybe Success Club is a worthy incentive. For me, I want my entire business to be reflective of the needs of my customers, period. Like, I'm going to be patient, and I'm going to let what my customer needs be what drives how I serve them. And sometimes people don't know what they need. So it always just started with, hey, I'm doing this, come do this with me.
Yeah.
And I think BOD allows us, Beachbody On Demand now allows us to give them either a no credit card free experience or a 14-day trial complete experience, and you know, and more. Because I have had people come to me, they're like, I just want to do what you're doing. And I will say, I will ask them the questions, let's figure out what your formula is, and I'll recommend a challenge pack if that's, I said, look, Beachbody has this thing that they put together, so I want you to know about it, but you don't have to do that. So, you know, it's itchy. So yeah, questions, or Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the sort of formula where people can find out what is right for someone is a big thing.
Yeah.
And I prefer to sign people up with the £39 one, because at least they can have a taste of what it's all about. And I feel like with BOD groups now, it's even more complete than ever. I know we were talking about making sure you've got something to invite to. Well, generally your upline coach, if you check your BOD groups, you'll see what is coming up. And I think that's a good way of forward planning now. You know, you set the groups up in advance so that any of your downline can see what is coming up in the future, what they can invite to, what they can be a part of. And I wish that some of the sample workouts were available, but there's no reason you can't use the Vimeo links in BOD groups as well. Mm-hmm. So we're toying around with that for a free trial, completely free, separate from on demand, and hopefully we'll have a formula with that soon. But even just the, you know, 2-week free trial into a support group, I think it has a lot to offer now.
Well, and I think you've had success with that. And I think, you know, I expected when BOD groups came up that there was so many moving parts to this thing. I think I just posted in Team Jen that it was going to take, my guess is 3 months to really perfectly flow the way they envision it will. And so what I did is to all of the coaches that I'm personally mentoring, it was like, at least have a group up so that if your customers go into Beachbody On Demand, you might not even know they are. And I've had that happen, by the way. I've already had people that I didn't know were signing into Beachbody On Demand as a customer that have said, hey, can I be in your group? So I put it up for that reason. As soon as I get that request, the email I'm sending back is, hey, listen, this thing is wonky right now. And so if you have the patience to be in this group and test it with us, come on aboard. But if you're like needing focused support, let's just text back and forth or stay in my Facebook group for now. So that's how I've managed that, and it's done well. Because we're going to need a little time, but you guys have had so much success. But I think that your group is one thing that you're modeling really well, and any coach can listen to this recording and I think take from this, is the idea of what are we doing together? Like, here's what's coming, you know, the idea of taking the incentives that Beachbody has and deciding if we want to participate or not. Like, you know, 10 rounds is not for me. At least I didn't think it was. And now I'm starting to rethink that. But at first I didn't think it was for me. And then, so I just kind of wrote that one off. It wasn't on my calendar. But Bar Blend is. So, you know, when Bar Blend went into the main library, that was a big deal. So what I like is you're using the incentives, you're taking ideas that you share amongst yourselves. What could we do for Mother's Day? Or what could we do for graduation? Or, you know, whatever's happening in the world in May. And then you're deciding on what groups you're running together and or individually. So that's exactly how you can create a flow of everybody getting into the rhythm of hitting that 500. And then maybe you do a sneak peek every now and then or something like that, an introduction to coaching, which allows them to invite and have their +1 sponsor. So yeah, I think you guys are on the path to doing this really well already.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Tack, any comments? Kirsty, where do I have? Oh, Vicky's.
Yeah, I think what is really important and to emphasize, especially during this time, is all about the long-lasting relationships that you build with your customers as well, because I think you can be quite influenced by just selling a challenge pack and then that's it and just letting them go. But it really is more about longevity and keeping people involved and keep that relationship alive. And I think that's a lot of the success that we had, especially with Team Cup, is that when we had a lot of renewals, that really helped as well to our success, because we had a lot of people that were involved all throughout the whole year rather than just selling a challenge pack and then that was it. But obviously it's to meet their needs as well, because obviously they want to renew for another year. They want to continue on with it rather than saying, yeah, I had it for a year, I put it away for 6 months, but it wasn't really for me. But when you've got them, then I think that really does hit home hard, and it feels really good when you've got a raving fan, as you call it. So I think that's really important.
It's so true. You're right, Tack. It does come down to that, doesn't it? Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. How about you, Kirsty?
Yeah, no, I agree with Tack as well. I mean, I love the theory that you've just gone through. I really like that, actually. But I agree with him. I like the relationships that I've built with the customers, and the fact that they want to do one program and then they want to move on to another program. And I've had, people that have come on board that have been like set on Slimming World, and they've come in and been doing Beachbody, which has been fine. And I've not tried to sway them, but obviously we've chatted, and as they've got to know me more, they've kind of naturally transferred over to 2B Mindset, and that's all been because of the relationship with the customers. So I like the theory behind it.
And when you say theory, the difference between an idea or a theory is action. It's like putting it into action and creating the flow of it, and having the patience and the courage, right? The courage to do the work that feels hard and awkward sometimes, and then the patience to get better at it and not be good at it at first, and, let a customer base build over time. I've watched it from all three of you, and Vicky too. I think she's taking a bit of a rest, but didn't we just have somebody step up?
Right there, Natalie.
It was Natalie. Congratulations, by the way. I didn't want to let this call go by without acknowledging. You're an Emerald, right? All right, girl. So now you're building an Emerald tribe. You're first.
I am, yes. And we'll have two girls on here. I have Larissa and Rachel.
Yay, they're both here. That's the way you start a tribe. So that is fabulous.
Thank you.
And Larissa just brought on her first coach today, haven't you? Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
So look at how that paying it forward and teaching has already happened. And you can see from even my model that if your goal just is let's empower each other to build this strong, so that your incomes are strong, and that you can see this as a consistent thing that's happening for yourselves. And ultimately that you're creating an income or a business or a career, however you want to look at it, doing something you love. And, and I like to say when I very first met Carl, I was completely resistant. And when I walked out the door of Beachbody and he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, Milan, I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know what the future holds. I just have an idea that I think is a good one. But set that aside. I mean, what if you could create a business doing something you loved? And that stuck with me because he said the most important part of it is that you take really good care of yourself. And I thought nobody ever cared when I was a nurse, whether I was healthy and happy. And so I love, Natalie, that you are like one of our newest Emerald tribes. So congratulations to you, ladies. It's awesome. And many more to come, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. So I think the follow-up to this, and I'll definitely stay connected, is the follow-up is to look at how can we empower you to reach this goal. with ease and with a flow and with a plan that you feel good and confident about, so that you can do this at your own pace. So part of it is, you know, having the plan, and then the other thing is working on our mindset for the things that are getting in our way and obstacles, which, by the way, Brian's really good at that. And the other side is the skills. Skills are like inviting and asking and following up and knowing what to post on Facebook. Those are the skills. So I think we should look at all three and see what we can build together over the coming months.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it.
Fantastic.
Great call. Thank you, Milan.
All right, you guys, take care. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.